I still remember the day I walked into the Iron Souls Motorcycle Clubhouse. I was 11, small for my age, and my sneakers were falling apart. The heavy door groaned as I pushed it open, and the sunlight spilled across the floor like I didn't belong there. A dozen men stopped talking at once. They were rough, covered in tattoos and leather, faces that looked like they'd seen every fight the world could throw. And yet, none of that scared me half as much as going back home. I stood there with my backpack hanging from one shoulder, a bruise under my eye that still burned from the night before. For a moment, I wanted to turn around and run, but I didn't. I lifted my chin and said the words that had been sitting in my throat for days. "Can you be my dad for one day?" For a second, no one moved. Then one of them, Mark, the one with the silver beard and steady eyes, set down his coffee and walked toward me. His voice was calm, not angry, just surprised. "You lost, kid." I shook my head. I wasn't lost. I just didn't have anyone else to ask. It was for career day at school. Everyone else had parents coming in to talk about their jobs, but my dad died in Afghanistan when I was 7, and my mom's boyfriend, Dale, wasn't the kind of man you brought anywhere near a classroom. I told them all of that, trying not to cry. The room went quiet again, but this time it felt different, heavier. They understood more than I said out loud. Mark asked gently about the bruise. I lied at first, said I fell off my bike, but they saw through it. I finally told them the truth, that Dale got angry when Mom was at work, that he hit me when I forgot things. Saying it out loud felt like dropping a weight I'd been carrying for years. When I finished, I couldn't look at them. I thought they'd tell me to leave, that it wasn't their problem. Instead, Mark crouched, so we were eye to eye. "You just did something brave, son," he said. "You asked for help." Then he looked around the room and asked who was free Friday morning. Every hand went up. I didn't understand what that meant until he said, "We'll be there. All of us." I didn't even know how to smile anymore, but that promise broke something open inside me. For the first time in a long while, I believed someone might actually show up. Friday came faster than I wanted. I woke up before sunrise, too nervous to eat. Mom was already dressed for her hospital shift, apologizing that she couldn't come. I told her it was fine. I'd figured something out. At school, I tried not to hear Nicholas and his friends laughing by the lockers. They always did. "Ready for your big presentation, orphan boy?" He sneered. His dad was a lawyer, the kind who thought money made you better. I kept walking. I didn't answer. In my head, I kept replaying Mark's voice. "We'll be there." By the time class started, I'd convinced myself they weren't coming. Adults made promises. Adults broke them. Then I heard it. A low rumble that started far away and grew until the windows shook. Everyone turned toward the sound. When we looked outside, there were 30 motorcycles rolling into the parking lot in perfect formation, chrome flashing under gray clouds. Every engine shut off at the same time. Every man dismounted like soldiers. The Iron Souls had arrived. I couldn't breathe. They actually came. My teacher froze when they filled the doorway. Mark stepped forward and said, "We're here for Ethan." The whole class turned to me. I stood up, shaking, while everyone whispered. Nicholas's smirk disappeared. His father's smile fell apart. Mark talked first, explaining how motorcycles worked, how balance and torque kept you upright even when the road tried to throw you off. Another man, Ben, spoke about their charity work, fundraisers, toy drives, helping veterans. Then Miguel told a story about growing up in a house where love came with bruises. You could have heard a pin drop. He said the club taught him that real strength wasn't about fear, it was about protection. By the end, my teacher was crying, and even Nicholas looked like he didn't know who he was anymore. When Mark turned to me and said, "You asked us to be your dads for one day, but family doesn't work like that. You're stuck with us now," I thought my chest would burst. Everyone clapped, and I felt taller than I'd ever been. That night, I went home lighter. But Dale had seen the video. Someone posted it online, and it spread everywhere. He was drunk when he came through the door. I'd barely started my homework when he started shouting, calling me names, saying I made him look like trash. He grabbed my shirt and raised his fist. I thought it was going to be like every other time. But the door opened before he could hit me. Mark walked in first, followed by Ben and a few others. They didn't yell. They didn't threaten. They just stood there, calm and solid, filling the room with quiet power. Dale froze. Mark told him the truth. The lease was in Mom's name, and they'd talked to her. They had pictures, records, everything. Dale went pale. They gave him two choices: leave quietly tonight, or deal with the police and every piece of evidence they'd gathered. He packed and drove away before the hour was over. When Mom came home, she cried harder than I'd ever seen, not from pain, but from relief. Mark said simply, "Because someone needed to, and because your son was brave enough to ask." The days that followed didn't feel real. I started spending time at the clubhouse after school. They taught me how to change oil, how to fix brakes, how to hold my head up. For the first time since Dad died, I felt safe. My grades got better, Mom smiled more, and the nightmares stopped. But one day, I noticed something about Nicholas, the boy who used to torment me. He looked worse, tired, sad, like something inside him was broken. Mark noticed it too. He found out Nicholas's mom had died years before, and his dad, the lawyer, had been drowning himself in work and whiskey ever since. Nicholas wasn't cruel for fun. He was just alone. When Mark told me, I didn't know what to think. Part of me wanted to stay angry. But I remembered what he always said, "We break cycles." A week later, Nicholas showed up at the clubhouse with Diego, one of the older guys. He looked like he wanted to disappear. I was sanding a bookshelf when he stopped in front of me. "I'm sorry," he said. His voice cracked. "For everything. I was angry at my own life and took it out on you." I stared at him for a long time. Then I said, "You want to help me finish this? I'm terrible at corners." He blinked, surprised. "Serious?" "Yeah. Mark says we're better at building things than breaking them." That was how we became friends. Years passed like that. The clubhouse became my second home. Nicholas and I grew taller, stronger, better. His dad got sober. My mom finished her nursing degree. And Mark, he became more than a father figure. He became family. On graduation day, I stood at the podium in my cap and gown, looking out at the crowd. My mom was in the third row, smiling through tears. Behind her, 30 men in leather stood with their arms crossed, proud and loud, even in silence. I said, "Everyone talks about family like it's just about blood. But I learned it's about the people who show up when everything falls apart." The Iron Souls did that for me. They taught me that strength isn't about hurting, it's about protecting. After the ceremony, Mark handed me a leather vest with a patch that read "Honorary Brother, Forever Family." I slipped it on, and the club erupted in cheers. Mom hugged me and whispered, "Your father would be proud." I smiled and said, "Which one?" She laughed through tears. "All of them." That night, lying in bed, I thought about the boy who once walked into that clubhouse with a bruise and a question. He was small, scared, and alone. But he found something most people spend a lifetime searching for, a family that chose him. I don't know what my life would have been without the Iron Souls, but I know this. Sometimes, all it takes to change everything is the courage to ask for help.